You're listening to SEN Insight, powered by Rubric. Each episode, we dive into the big ideas, challenges, and stories shaping student experience across campus. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm live with Corey Scott, Executive Director of the University of Toronto Graduate Students Union in Ontario, Canada. We'll be talking about the graduate student experience, what's working, lessons learned from Corey's work, supporting students across multiple institutions. And let's get kicked off by Corey. Tell us a quick overview of the union and the kind of students that you serve.
Yeah, absolutely. We are the largest and oldest graduate students union in Canada at the University of Toronto. So that's all three of the campuses. Almost 22,000 members, master's,
Wow.
PhD, whether they're funded, unfunded, over 100 programs. Like it's the typical kind of old school university vibe with
Yeah.
just a completely ballooning graduate population. And our members are very unique in that it's such a diverse range of programs that you have people who are doing part-time studies for 10 plus years. And then you have a bunch of folks who are doing 1 and 2 year master's programs and
Yeah.
paying tens of thousands of dollars for that education. And then we have a bunch of PhD students and people working in professional sectors where they never even come to campus because they're
Yeah.
doing their work in affiliated hospitals and workplaces around the country and oftentimes even internationally. So it's just it's a fun campus and a fun time to be working with graduate students.
Yeah.
Because what it means to be a graduate student, I don't think has ever been as diverse as it has been, especially with the boom in online education and online supervision.
Have you seen one of the things that we've seen here in Australia is a very sharp growth in master's students because undergraduates are finding that the employment space is flooded with undergrads, and
Mhm.
almost you need a master's now to define yourself from the crowd. Are you seeing that as well in Canada?
Yeah, I would even go as far to say that it's now spread into the masters, and that we have having a master's doesn't define you. Either
Wow.
Canada is one of the most if you're going based on just the terminology, is one of the most well-educated countries in the
Yeah.
world. Because there is such a huge investment previously in post-secondary education and treating that as a bit of a necessity to finding employment. But like it now it's just like it really comes across as the natural pathway. It's like, okay, I've graduated high school, I'm going to go into university. Okay, I've graduated university. Now maybe I'm going to start thinking about what I want to do with that degree. So I'm going to do a master's in it. And it's so interesting. And you can't blame the students because it's the hands that they're given.
Yeah.
Um, it's really like where is the kind of government public policy leadership going with that? But like it's great to see so many people applying themselves and getting really niche kind of education, but it's also a struggle when you have, just this balloon population of Masters of Education students and Masters of Business Administration students. And
Yeah.
they go in and public policy and they go and get that and like they realize throughout the course of that degree is like it's we're still going to have to struggle amongst this cohort to get jobs out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
it's interesting, but yeah, I feel that that niche keeps on, or that process of going into masters is
That's right.
just
Pushing it on.
um,
I think
yeah,
my big concern with it, Corey, is that certainly back when I did my MBA, part of the process and learning and the whole group was the richness of the life experience and work experience that was
yeah,
brought to the master's program from the
hmm
participants. And if you've got guys who have come from school, then they do an undergraduate degree and then straight into a master's program, what are they bringing to it other than the
yeah,
will to study?
hmm
And that's my concern. You know, they hit the mark, they hit the workplace with a master's or even further, having
yeah,
no actual life experience.
yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree there, and I think like you talk to most students who graduate from the programs, and that's what they will in many ways say. I think the difficulty is just like what else are they going to do? Like
Yeah,
we're in
that's right.
in
That's right.
Canada and Ontario specifically, we have like this gigantic unemployment rate for young people, and like the parents don't know the advice to give, the kids, the students don't know the advice to give, the teachers don't know the advice to give, and we're all
Mm,
just kind of going off of well, what's worked previously, but like it's just
yeah.
like it's a struggle. I don't really know if there is a great solution there
No.
aside from just like building up those critical thinking skills and saying why, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like I can go and like finish my undergrad and then go and spend 2 years becoming an electrician and just doing that kind of stuff. And then like 5 years later, I can go and do a master's in something else. And I'm like, and that's kind of the world that we live in. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to our pest control guy today. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I have a master's in organizational behavior, and I'm doing this." And I'm like, "Well, like, are you vibing with that?" He's like, "Yeah, like I love this, and I apply the things that I got in my master's, but it's like I didn't start with a master's. I did this other stuff before." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's like we have to
That's
start
right. People,
remembering
the
that
whole
our like
lifelong
our
learning
yeah, there's a
approach
lot of
seems to
like
be,
we're here for much longer than the 1 decade that we're in post-secondary if you're a graduate, right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
it's you can spread it.
Okay, let's get back on script then.
Yeah, sorry.
Um, no, it's good. It's great. It's great. I love these conversations. You've been deeply involved with student advocacy and experience across several institutions. What initially drew you to this work, Corey?
Yeah, I grew up in a semi-small town in Ontario, 2 hours outside of Toronto. So growing up, I latched onto anything that was activism, anything that was about change and social change. And then I came to Toronto, which like in many ways like had too many things going on.
Yeah,
So I did my Model UN thing that I was doing in high school. I did my environmental campaigns that I did in high school. But ultimately ended up just like falling in love with doing like a lot of different liberation type work in terms of sexual education and gender education. And just doing that on campus and doing what I love doing. The student union leadership saw me. They're like, "Hey, you should come and do that with us and get involved in this stuff." And then I got involved in that. And I'm like, well, like this is really doing all of it in such a broad way
yeah,
that I got involved in that. And I got involved in a lot of things that I thought would never be things that I'd have an active hand in. Like I'd show up at a protest around Black Lives Matter. I show up at different types of things to support them, but I never thought that I could have a hand in them.
yeah.
And that's what I really love about student advocacy and student experience work is that you do get that hand in. You might get invited in, you might need to prove yourself before getting invited into the space, but there's so much space where people are just like we actually can facilitate
That's
you
right. The
getting this
opportunities.
experience in a way that, yeah, I don't know where I'd be right now if I didn't get involved in the student union. I'd probably be working at a movie theater in a management position. Like one of my
Yeah,
friends is doing that. I'm like, how did we do the same thing? And this is what you're doing now. And it's like, well, it's like it's how you want to apply yourself. And
yeah,
good on him. He's enjoying his life, but
yeah,
like
yeah. That's right. No judgment
I
intended.
enjoy
It's
it
just
better. So
the different journey. Yeah, yeah. No, great.
yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
Um, So onto the student experience landscape, really. From your perspective, what do you see as the biggest challenges for graduate student associations? What are they facing right now, and when it comes to delivery
Mhm.
of student experience?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what we were talking about a little bit before. It's just there's this scarcity. There's this competition that exists, whether or not you know you're even competing, and it's the pay to play economy. It's like you have to pay in some way or another to get this experience, and
Yeah,
if you don't make all these sacrifices by entering debt or by not working during your education studies so that you can participate in the extracurriculars. Like basically everything that you do has to incur debt. And
yeah,
right now, most reasonable people would say, I can't afford debt because I don't have any way that I'm foreseeably going to be able to pay that off. And I think that that applies to undergraduates as well, but for graduate students, like it's like you're putting tens of thousands of dollars away a year, like $40,000 a year for some of these programs, to be like, oh, I really hope I get a job out of this. And now I'm going here, and they didn't tell me that I have to do all these networking experience. And
yeah,
it's like, but in order to pay these bills, I have to have this other job. And Joe over here doesn't have to do those things, and he's getting all the opportunities. So I think that there's a lot of that kind of scarcity in terms of like making those tough decisions, where a lot of people just don't have that capacity. And quite frankly, I'd say that most students don't have that capacity. So a lot of the ways that we've done education in the past, I think, are really disappearing. Like we're trying to continue those systems of like, participate in this, take a couple sacrifices, it'll pay off. And people just don't trust that anymore. And I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, that's where the question runs. Is like when we have scarcity in our worries and our concerns, and there isn't someone there like your students' union to provide that optimism and hope and that trust, then the scarcity that we're worried of becomes the scarcity that we bring upon ourselves.
Yeah.
And we just fight amongst ourselves for whatever little scraps that we have, and yeah, it's a bit concerning. It's a bit sad whenever I think about it, but I also know that there's ways that we challenge it every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I like to, and you're right. I think you can easily get bogged down when you see what's going on in tertiary education globally. The
Hmm.
struggle that's going on and the loss of kind of social license, if you like.
Yeah.
And certainly this all the stuff coming out of the States is that graduates posts are no longer seen as part of a necessity as from recruitment.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's like you say, it's a big investment. But I kind of come back to the fact that these institutions have been around for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
and there's a kind of belief that this is good, and this does lead to better things, both for the
Mhm.
individual and for society. So hopefully that we'll see that. But that does lead next into the next question nicely. In that, what were the changes you've seen and are continuing to see post pandemic?
Hmm. Yeah, like I think that there's a lot more expectation for transactional, right? Like everyone expects something kind of back, and that looks like different things. And I don't think that it's also unfair for folks to expect those things. So, like it's not enough to just host an event now. You need to host an event with food to get people in there to realize, like, yeah, like we're actually going to take care of you as you learn about this workshop that we're giving or the speaker that's there. Um, so I think that there's just a lot of those questions about like, what am I going to get out of this as opposed to going in there and saying like, what am I going to make of this space? And I
Yeah,
think that every generation will look at the new generations and say that. So I say this with not complete realization, but a good realization that whoever was training me at this time is like, what is Corey talking about? That's the exact same thing that I thought of him when he was going through this process. So I think that there always is that like the same processes continue, but I do feel like a lot of students are pushed more into that question about like what am I getting out of this and what is the
yeah,
intention of this space as
yeah. The
opposed to
value
just,
proposition.
kind of
What's in it for me?
spending. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
and I don't think it's unfair at the same time because usually there's something that I wanted of students coming to the event.
yeah. That's
So I
fair.
have to think about like not just how am I going to get a bunch of free volunteers coming to this, but how am I going to value my volunteers? How are they going
Yeah,
to see value and continuing to stay involved in a way that I think is somewhat healthy as long as I don't get it into a labor transaction and more into that kind of social contract. And
yeah.
that's what I always like to talk to people about is like, what's the contract that we're coming up here in terms of expectations upon each other? And I do love that students are challenging us more than ever on those
Mm,
things. They're challenging the systems that seek to take advantage of them. So like more power to them, and just continue to remind ourselves like, are we taking advantage of students at this point, or are we actually building a movement for them and by them?
yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, there's certainly a lot more agency in students
Hmm.
nowadays than I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Um, can you share a project or program initiative particularly proud of for this year that's really helped engage students on campus
Yeah. So
or online by that
yeah.
token?
Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind, but like I think the most obvious one is just our orientation that we did.
Yeah.
We've done an orientation on our street, the street that our building's on for the past 20, 30 years. And it's this tiny little street. And last year was my first year working here during an orientation, and I saw it, and I'm like, we better hope a hot fire doesn't start because like
Oh, really? Yeah.
it's going to be bad. So we moved that over to our front campus, where it's like the iconic space that U of T like has in all of their pictures. And we said, let's go with it. Let's try to figure out how to make this work. It's an extremely hard thing to coordinate with university service, like campus event services, and just the prices that we sometimes get quoted. But like really, everyone in the university was really supportive of us doing this, because it's just like we never do anything for grad students at U of T. Like it is, all the academic things are there, but the student life aspects aren't. So we did this,
Yeah.
and our dean came out. All of our student services came out. Like in the past, when they send like one or two people to table, we had like six different offices from our School of Graduate Studies, which just doesn't happen. So seeing it all come together and being like, how are we going to fill out this giant like massive circle, and then like 2 weeks before the event being like, where can we fit more tables?
Oh,
Where can
really?
we create a like more space here? And how are we going to handle all the students coming in? And that was fantastic. And then just seeing everything come together in terms of like not just the tabling, but the food, and people work together to figure out how are we going to feed more people than we were expecting? How are we going to have like these fun engagement things? What are we going to do to distract the undergrad students that try to show up and enjoy our event? Like everyone was really down to solve issues,
I
and that was
forgot
really
about that.
fun.
Yeah. So you're catering
Um,
specifically for the
yeah.
grads. Yeah.
Yeah, because none of this happens. Like it's an extremely decentralized university, and
Yeah.
no one wants to take responsibility. But for this event, it was just great to see partners within our university actually show up and say, "It's like, no, we can see that no one else is doing this, and we really want to support the Students' Union in doing this." Probably because they
Fabulous.
didn't want to do it themselves, but like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
we'll
right.
take that. We'll take it.
That's right. That's right. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Actually, we myself and a colleague are going to be talking at a conference later this month about the partnership between universities and student unions, and that's
yeah,
absolutely one of the values. You know, the student unions can and will do things that the university just does not want to
yeah,
because of
yeah,
the risk appetite, because of the agility, and that kind of
yeah.
not having to have 30 committee meetings to just make a decision.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
that's great.
absolutely. Well, it's like, and I would say like one of the wild things is just like being able to say yes to a ridiculous idea. And like every year I get afraid of the proposals that come from the students. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, but hey, you're the ones who are elected. Like if this is going to work, this is going to work. And it might not work for everyone, but like people really love it. Like, and I remember in my undergrad, that was us doing like this world record air guitar. I thought it was the most silly thing ever, but we broke the record. People enjoyed
Brilliant.
it. They still post about it. So I'm
That's
like, let's
superb.
do it.
What is the record out of interest?
Oh, I think it's been broken at this point.
Is
I
it
want to say that we had like 800 people or something like that. It
really?
wasn't
That's
that
superb.
high.
That's
I'm like,
great fun.
because you always go and you look at like, what is the one that we can beat? And
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
right.
think that's what we did.
Find a
Yeah.
realistic bar that we can just galvanize
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that they had for some time. I don't know if they still do, but they had the largest world's largest toga party here on
Oh,
campus.
yeah.
Um, Shared with QUT across the road. So that was I think it was about seven
Yeah.
thousand students, but it was yeah, it was really good.
Wild. Wild.
Yeah,
That's a lot of linens.
that's right.
It's
Yeah,
a
that's right.
lot
Bed
of risk
sheets.
for those linens falling off, I imagine. So
Yeah, that's it. So how do you see student needs and expectations evolving?
yeah.
Has anything changed, or is there anything
Um,
changed about your approach for
yeah.
how you connect with graduate students?
Yeah, like I've been working in this role for almost 2 years now. And I came into an organization that was just so resistant to change.
Yeah,
So my big thing is we had a student choice initiative proposal, which is voluntary student unionism, which I know you folks are very
yeah.
familiar with.
Been there, done that.
Um, Yeah, so we defeated it a few years ago via certain technicalities. Is back again now, and we always knew that it would be coming back. And the big thing that we had to have that conversation in 2018 was like, what are we doing here, and how are we going to get ahead of this topic?
Yeah.
Are we actually being resistant to our members on these things that they're asking for in terms of accountability, in terms of like where we're spending money? So that was really a game changer for a lot of people in the student union world at that time because we had to start questioning why we did things.
Yeah.
So the approach that I love to take is just like let's question why we're doing something like before we even start it. And if someone wants to defend that system, let them defend that system. And if they make a logical argument, let's continue doing it. But if someone has a new idea, let's explore it. So
Yeah.
um, that's really been what my past 2 years at the Students Union has been, being like, well, can we move off of Google Forms to do all of our forms, and can we move into something a little bit more dynamic that has better analytic data, that we aren't feeding all of our information to chat
Yeah.
GPT, like, and just like giving into these networks that require like 8 different applications to do it, and it depends on who's here and all the systems changing. And it's like, can we just be responsive to the data we collect? And so we've done that, and we've switched up the entire way that we do our email listservs and our digest emails, which go out to all students. And because of that, we see more people showing up. We see people participating in social media contests. We see people finding our social media more naturally as opposed to having to search us out. Because we started challenging as like, well, maybe we can do it in different ways. Maybe we can change up the SOPs that we have, the standard operating procedures.
Yeah.
Maybe we can write them down even a bit more and document what we're doing. So a lot of the new things that I'm seeing is being open to what students are proposing, because so many of them are coming in and saying like, why are we working from Excel sheets? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, absolutely. Why are we working
So
from
meeting them
Excel
on
sheets?
their terms, basically, Corey, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. And trusting in them because they have good ideas. They might not always know how
Oh,
to
yeah.
actualize them. They might be very theoretical in nature, but it's
Yeah.
truth, right? And
Yeah.
they're the ones who are going to be picking up the work. So,
That's right. That's right. Excellent. Um, how do you use data or feedback to guide your strategy?
yeah. It's still trying to. I think we always collect so much data and we don't use any of it because it takes so long to go through.
Yeah.
And it's one of my big pet peeves is like, let's make someone do a 5-minute survey and then like only use the one piece of survey in terms of which program are they in. Right.
Yeah.
So like I do like to collect like the large data, but I love just using the small data, like taking qualitative data wherever it comes from and talking to students as they're at registration lines to find out how they've heard about it. And then just delving into those topics because I find that I use it more often because
Yeah.
I treat it as real data. I feel like that, like when you get that quantitative data, you add all these assumptions to it, and you're like, oh, it looks like we have all these people coming up from math. So we must be doing a really good job in the math department. It's like, no, it's just one guy who saw it and posted it on a free food locator. But you don't get that from the big data.
No,
You
that's
get
right.
that
You
from
don't
talking
get
to
any
the
of the
people in the
context.
line, being like, how did you kind of hear about this? So doing that it has been great, and I find that the dual help there is that it really helps me pass on the positive and constructive feedback to team members to be like, hey, I
Hmm.
was talking to this person in line, and they said that the reason why they came is because it was so easy to find in the 20-point email this item around this free food event that we had that they would have otherwise not found in the previous system we were doing the week before. So being able to get that information from the student and say, yeah, this might be biased because they're here, but being able to relay that over to a staff person to show that the change that they implemented was actually valuable and actually worked because they're not at the event to hear that.
No.
So like that's why I just really love using personal stories so much more than any quantitative thing because I think it shows more impact generally
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do you guys have access to student emails? Can you email the students on their
Yeah, so we have an email list from our university,
Yeah.
which is the same email list. I studied here at the university in 2007. It's the same email list service. It never
Right.
changed. So it's all plain text, like,
Yeah.
send a code here if you want to add someone to it, or if you want to remove yourself from it. We're in the process. We've been fighting for 2 years to actually get a new system. So they just put that on our table with this nice gigantic price tag that we have to pay to upgrade the system
Wow.
for the university. But but we do get that list, but we don't get email by email. If we want it for certain programs and departments, we have to request it and we have to indicate why we need it,
Right.
rather than just a preference for why we want it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, over here, certainly, I know they get bombarded by emails via the university, so I'm not even sure it's an effective channel anyway, because I know students that
okay.
use that as almost like their dump bin and never really read it.
Yeah. When I guess like that's generally I think my experience when I was working at an undergraduate level, but
Yeah.
with graduate studies, it's surprising. Like I think graduate students know how to filter their emails a lot better, so
Yeah.
they're never spamming something because they know that it's like, hey, this is where my health and dental information is going to come. So I can't afford to put it anywhere else, but I'll put it into this filter. And yeah, like our email digest goes out weekly, and it's the top reason why we get people to come to our things and to hear about
All
stuff.
right. That's good.
And we do that as a community hub as well. Like we don't limit it to what we're doing. We go and look at the value and be like, okay, well, let's go and tell students about something that the university is doing that they're not really promoting that
Yeah.
much. So like, how can we highlight our partners? And then people are coming through. It's like, oh, I'm looking for something from the bike shop on campus. Oh, it's not in this email, but at least I found this other thing that I wasn't aware of. So yeah, and always
Yeah.
hiding the financial bursary stuff in the middle of the email so they have to go search
Excellent.
it.
Excellent. Give them a reason to read the whole thing.
Right? Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. So looking ahead, future thinking.
Mhm.
When you think about the future of student experience, what changes or trends do you think unions need to prepare for?
Yeah. I think I kind of talked about some of these already. But uh, yeah, I think we just have to be prepared for it being different than what we had.
Yeah.
Right? Um,
Yeah.
like it's like I end up I say that also with the understanding that we can't also just throw out the systems that we've had for so long. I'm not sure how it worked in Australia in terms of the impacts of the pandemic, but we lost pretty much all institutional memory at most of our student unions.
Right.
People were finishing up as executives of the student union and then becoming the executive director because none of the staff were staying on. So it was just complete
Right.
transition, and we had a bunch of 23-year-olds running undergraduate student unions with multi-million dollar budgets because no one else was picking it up who understood even the system. And you can't just go and get like a nonprofit person to kind of come in and do it. It's such a
Yeah.
unique and
Oh, it
chaotic
is. It's very niche. You're right.
workplace.
Absolutely.
Um, so a lot of it has been like just like, can we have honest conversations about where we're at with institutional memory and what we need to do and how we need to trust people to go forward? And what does training actually look like? Because for me, I had this huge training process that I never registered as I was going through it, but
Yeah.
that I can look back at and say, it's like, okay, here are the three different mentors that were assigned to me when I was an executive from not just my student union, but the student union down the street from us
Oh,
at
really?
at
Oh,
a
that's good.
campus, and like knowing that there was like this giant support system. So how do we go back to doing that? Because the way that I learned was being allowed to make mistakes, and then my executive director being like, okay, Corey, this is what we need to do about this. And then like also knowing that this person down the street at this other student union would just like message me and be like, hey, how's it all going, Corey? And I'm like, oh, I just had a talking from Sandy. And it's like, and it was all play. It was all played out because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, they need to give me the feedback. I need to work through the feedback, but my executive director didn't have to solve it for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you recreate that and explain it and train your staff people to be like, hey, you need to do this entire process. But the only way you do that is by experiencing it
That's
yourself.
right.
So it's like,
Experiential.
and who's going to do that? And I think that those are the things that we have to figure out is like, how do we create pipelines that are ethical, that are new age, that meet students where they're at, where they don't want to be used anymore. They don't want to be part of a system that is not, that they don't know that they're a part of. So how do you
Yeah.
create those trust systems and how do you create those networks in such an authentic way that respects them and but also gives them the ability to make those mistakes and to know that, there's not just one person on their side, there's multiple people on their side.
Yeah.
And that is my biggest struggle because everyone just thinks that they're all about to get fired at every single day when they get some bad news and feedback. I'm like,
Yeah.
I start every meeting being like, this is not a discipline. And I'm like, if that was how I was going into meetings, that's not how I'd want a meeting to be started. It's like, oh, they
No.
said it's not a discipline, so it must be a discipline. Like, I would just rather have that system of an ED being like, this is what I firmly need, and then like having to go and talk to people, and those people like just kind of instinctively knowing what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
But
yeah, I think we'll get there, and we always do get there. It's just I hope that we will have the institutions to support that rather than unpaid community folks continue to have that work, right? And
yeah,
because people will always find it somewhere. It's just like we have these networks and these institutions that should be doing it for students.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think what you're saying there, and certainly reflects my feelings, is that what we need to create is agile organizations with strong
Hmm.
culture, and just
Yeah,
accept that change is coming and face it when it comes, rather than because we're not going to know. Christ,
yeah,
5 years ago, if somebody said to you, 5 years time, AI will be everywhere. There'll be, significant wars going on. Trump will be back in office. The world will be in financial, upheaval.
yeah,
You'd have laughed, but here
yeah,
we are. So,
yeah,
I think what you can expect of the future is more uncertain now than it's ever been. But you're
yeah,
right. If you set yourself up for that great culture of embracing change and working with hope, I think
yeah,
it's a strong
absolutely.
position.
Yeah. And it's like, and there's something to be said about certainty and uncertainty. And like, what can you can unite behind that, right? Like, you can
Yeah.
unite behind this understanding that we don't know what's happening, but like, we can trust that there's this component that, or this community culture that we have, that we can get through it together. Because, like, I talk to anyone who is my like predecessors, and they will say that that's what they were going through. Didn't look the same way at all. Maybe it didn't have the
No.
same challenges. There might not have been as much geo connection, but like it was always the sense that the world was burning,
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
right?
Especially in
So
our space where, we tend to attract students that care passionately about the
yeah,
serious matters in well, both in their country and globally.
yeah, to an unhealthy standard sometimes,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
oftentimes.
Certainly, certainly around election time anyway.
All
What
right.
advice would you give student unions, whether in Canada or Australia, trying to rethink how they connect with their membership?
Yeah, I think I'd just go back to that point about like trust the ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
Someone comes in and has an idea, it's like don't just immediately dismiss it because we've tried it before, because it is a different world. So we can try it
Yes.
again and we can apply the things that we know and listen to our elders and the information that we know. But like, yeah, some of the best things that are engaging students right now is weird social media trends. But
Yeah.
then the question that we ask is like, okay, we've done the social media trend. Now that we got them hooked, what are we doing next that might be a little bit more old school? And how do we merge those ideas together? Because I hate social media organizing. It's the biggest thing that I want to stay away from because
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, it's meaningless. It's all algorithm. It's whatever. But
Yeah.
if that's how people engage, that's our reality. But how can we use these tools to effectively create some activations that will go back into creating a system that maybe not might not be as reliant on social media? We can absolutely subvert.
Yeah.
But it takes like some honest conversations and just teamwork and trusting ridiculous ideas.
Yeah.
Go do an air guitar Guinness
Yeah,
World
that's
Record.
right. That's right. It's
Look it
funny.
up.
I was an event, not I think it was last year, and one of the senior executives, he had a great attitude. He was like, "Where I try and approach everything from a yes perspective." He said, "But obviously, I work in a university, so we're very risk
Mhm.
averse." He said, "So I temper that by saying, okay, let's work together with your idea to get to yes,"
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
thought was a great approach.
Yeah. Honestly,
Excellent.
I love it. And I find that that's also the best way that I've worked with university administrators. Like, and for 10 years of doing this work, I was at the complete opposite side of the administrators. We were protesting, we weren't talking to them half the
Yeah.
time. And now it's just like, hey, like this entire sector is under attack. So what can we
Yes.
do? And can we put aside these past grievances and focus on what we do agree? And how can we say yes to each other's ideas? How can we restore this trust? And
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Like just being like able to see, you know. all the people that I beat in elections when I was a student on these other sides, and like we can put this aside, and them
That's
doing that
right.
as I didn't beat all of them. I lost a few, so but but being able to get over those things and come up with a yes mentality, because at the end of the day, all the work is well beyond our petty grievances, and most of the grievances that we have institutionally are related to someone's initial petty disagreement. At least
Yeah.
in Canada, like extremely polite, but extremely passive
You do
aggressive.
have a reputation for polite, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Superb. If you had unlimited resources, what's the one
Hmm.
thing you'd love to experiment with to better support student
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that we've talked about in terms of how do we invest in people getting to the spaces. So like we've done things like tokens on transit in the
Yeah.
past. But like just this notion of like even some type of a subsidy to get involved or attend something. So it's like you want to come to our like organizing training that's like an 8-hour training. What if we
Yeah.
gave you $150 to do this?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
a
So they,
pathway to
they're not having
actually
to
do
miss a
something.
work opportunity to go.
Right. Yeah, because that's what we've kind of applied to some of our like governance positions. So it's like we have a board of directors, and it's like if you don't get any income doing this, then it's like we're just going to get students who can afford to be here. So it's like we've
Yeah.
applied these kind of frameworks in terms of certain governance systems, but we don't apply it in the way of our organizing systems. So there's kind of a value accreditation that happens there in terms of what work we find as necessary and what work we don't find as necessary. So I would love to be able to provide more, not financial incentive, but financial kind of supports so that people can learn the skills and
Yeah.
then them not feeling like that they have to do this the entire year, like that there's some type of contract that they have to do. But yeah, if there was some way to make their lives easier to be politically engaged, that would be where I go.
Yeah. Great. It's funny because when we were putting the questions together, I think mine would be a customer service department whose sole function was to
Yeah.
speak to every student at every turn.
Yeah. Well, there's
You,
AI bots for that now.
yeah, yeah, that's right. But
No,
people get
no,
sick
but
of
that's
those, don't
that's
they?
fantastic.
Like
Yeah.
genuine, genuine connection. Either you phone them
Yeah.
or you see them in the quad or somewhere and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
how you going? Is there any
Yeah.
support we can provide you?"
Yeah. And I think that speaks to like that value that you were talking about earlier is like how do you build the value
That
that students
community,
see in like
yeah, we
in being
care.
like I'm not being treated as a number. I'm not
Yeah,
getting some FAQ document that they posted on the website and they're just regurgitating to me on an email or a phone. Yeah, like absolutely. That's and it's interesting. I have seen some like new age kind of things where it's like you like one of our students unions here is like you go onto their website and you see how many executives or how many staff people are on the info desk.
yeah.
So it's like ways that you can message them and just like, okay, these people are actually on site and can
Are they
help answer.
live now? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it ever works because every time I send messages, like I don't really get responses. But like it was something I saw during the pandemic that a lot of them did for office hours is like,
Oh,
well, here's a
yeah,
way of connecting. Like I would still love it for it to not be a chat box, but like
yeah, yeah.
I think
That's
that
right. A
there's like those
genuine
kind of interesting
person.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be very cool. Okay, a couple of quick wrap up questions then, Corey, and
Yeah.
I'll let you go home and go to bed. Um, what's one lesson you've learned about student experience that you wish you knew earlier?
Yeah, I don't know if I wish I knew this one earlier, but I would say that I wish I knew it earlier as a staff person. All my heroes and idols while doing this work were completely faking it the entire time. They had no idea what
That's
was going
brilliant.
on. They were doing
Yeah,
the best that they could. And I kind of wish I knew that earlier on so that I could appreciate them for the time that they had and
yeah,
just be like I saw all those things. And it's like, and that's what I continue to remind myself today. It's like, I have it so much more together than the people that were here when I was doing it because I have 16 years doing this now.
that's
But
right.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, every one of them was faking it, and they were in panic mode just as much as I am when something
yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Superb. Okay, last one then. In one sentence, what do you think is the key to building a strong student experience?
What is what is the key to building a strong student experience? Um, I think. that the tent is always bigger, better when it's bigger.
Yep.
But the tent always gets more uncomfortable once more people are there. So you just have to be uncomfortable with being comfortable. Like
Uh,
understanding that you're not always going to agree, you're not always going to have the same kind of values that bring you together. But like if you want a big tent, you have to have a lot of opinions in the room.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
it's
Fantastic.
more than one
Well,
sentence,
listen.
but
Yeah, that's all right. I'm going to let it slide. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time today, Corey.
yeah,
It's been insightful. Hopefully, our viewers will have got something out of it, and hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. So, it's been
no,
great to meet
absolutely.
you, and thank you for your time.
No worries. Thanks, Paul. I kind of wish that I had actually asked you some of these questions back. So,
That's right.
yeah,
I could, yeah. There's my perspectives are interesting because I get in my role to see the varied opinions from all of our different memberships. So
yeah,
it's um it's quite a unique and privileged position that I sit in here at SEN.
absolutely.
But yeah, community for me, it's if we can
Yeah,
create community
yeah,
both in the staff and for our students, I think we're winning
yeah. That's what I've been
because
getting
it's
from you the entire meeting. So I really
yeah.
vibe with that. I really like that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, brilliant.
Awesome.
All the best. Thank you very
Thanks so
much
much, Paul.
indeed. Take
Have a
care.
good one.
Cheers.
Bye.